Hello, Jaitani. How guest?
Thank you. I'm very well. Thank you for asking.
I'm so happy that you've given your time to me and to our viewers here. I'm here to learn a lot of things from you. Take me through your reasoning for why did you even get into entrepreneurship? What made you?
So, my story is very personal, but I want to thank you, first of all, for giving your time to ask me questions so I can help the larger audience. But yeah, my story is really personal. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I come from a lineage that have been entrepreneurs. Um, but it's a very personal story to share. I used to be director of operations and general manager in the long-term care and the retirement sector. And I was diagnosed with endometriosis. A lot of people don't know what endometriosis is. There's still a lot of research that's going on. Unfortunately, I found out at a very later stage in my life, and I had to go through surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was recovering from it, um, I had a lovely opportunity. I had a very close friend that was looking to establish a business. And I used that time to use the skills that I gained in the 12 years of healthcare to
Mm-hmm.
help him get into the retail industry. So that's where my journey started.
Oh, okay. What is the illness you have mentioned about? Do you mind
Yes.
mentioning a little more about it?
Yeah, I'd love to actually, because there's not much awareness. It's very common, but there is no research or enough research as to why it happens. So I had something that was growing in one of my ovaries, which needed to be surgically removed. And it happens. It's very common. It's 1 in 3 individuals or ladies that go through these issues in several forms. So there's scar tissue that grows on different parts of your organ, your uterus. It could be even your bowels if it gets really intense. So it's something that you'd have to manage all your life, unfortunately, and a lot of hormonal imbalances, a lot of pain, which is sometimes unexplainable, right? So I did go through that, to be very honest. But as women, we always keep that forefront that, oh, yes, we have to be strong, we have to be there for our family, we have to be there for the job that we have, that you kind of lose yourself. So unfortunately, I learned the hard way. But again, there's always a positive in anything that happens, and I hope people do more research on this and just not make it as, oh, it's okay, they can figure it out because you're a woman.
Oh my
So
goodness.
yeah, that's
Uh, this is the first time I've learned something about it being a male and having a mother, sister, a wife, and other females in my life. This is something which you said it's a common thing, and this is the first time I've heard about it. So it looks like there needs to be a lot of awareness about it, and I really thank you for sharing such a personal thing with me and my audience. I really appreciate that, and it's very emotional thing what you have just said.
You're welcome. Thank you for letting me talk about it.
That
It's taken me a lot of courage to be able to speak about it, because um, it's very emotional, right? Like, it tears you up because the pain is intense. It's just not something that's okay, right? So thank you. I appreciate that.
no, thanks to you, ma'am. You have shared something, very personal to our audience for sake of others to understand and spread the awareness that that tells how responsible you are. Um, okay, I I'm going somewhere. Okay, let's get to the theme of our conversation. So because I'm here to learn. So the first thing I've already learned about this illness of yours. So what happened next? So you've helped one of your friends, you said?
Yes, I help them establish. So there's a lot of paperwork that goes into it. But I've been involved, again, like I said, my skills are transferable. So I've been involved in a lot of the RFPs when long-term care retirement homes are built. So it's pretty similar, right? Like, you put an offer because it's an existing business. You put an offer. You see if they accept your offer or not. You go a lot on the negotiation tables because you just don't want to take or accept whatever the previous owner has left behind, right? So I was able to help the individual secure a good lease, right? Have a good TMI. Um, also on the legal aspects, right? Like obviously the lawyer comes in, but it's important to know the licenses, like what's the bylaws when you're starting a business. And most importantly, how much should be your capital? How much do you invest in? Is the business worth the money that you're putting in? Right. So sitting down, looking at the accounts, also like physically being present at the store that he eventually bought to make sure that there's enough traffic coming through. Right. Because again, on books, you can see different things, but what's in reality is where you have to be in the place. You just can't look at a piece of paper and say, yeah, the business is running well. So there's a lot of moving parts, which I was able to help him look at it, even markups, like just looking at what the competition is going to be like, how much you should be marking up a product so that you're still competitive with others. Is the area where you are at, is there enough population for you to come and make sure that your business is going to be successful? Right. And
Okay.
if not, how can you elevate? How can you twist and turn? Because even what he eventually bought up, we started with something, but ended up making it bigger. If
Okay,
that
so
makes
so take me through the process very briefly. Like for example, whatever business you have tried to help your friend with, take
sense.
me through the the process. What is that? So is it that can we establish our own brand new business, or is it dependent on the local? Let's say if I've decided to start, just for example, a retailer for probably a convenience store. Okay, so
Yes.
what is the best approach? Is it best to have buy an existing business already or establish a brand new one?
So there are pros and cons to it, I would say, Shashank. Like you can't see for with this situation with my friend in Clarendon, there are not many commercial spaces. So we had to pivot. He wanted to start another business, was a grocery store that he actually wanted to establish, but then he had to pivot because there was no space. So we had to look at plan B and see what the existing businesses were and what matched your level, right? Like you can't just go and pick any business where you have no information or no knowledge about. So um, I would say either way, right? It doesn't matter whether you're going and like establishing your own business or buying over a business. There's no right way. It really depends on the situation that you're in.
Got it.
And
Okay.
the same with me, right? Like when
Mm.
I was taking over my business with
Hmm.
Taunton Variety and Party, it was the same logic, right? Like we were looking for spaces. I wanted to establish the candies and the snacks myself.
Hmm.
However, there was no retail spaces available in Clarendon.
Got it. So based on the availability, based on the necessity, based on the market space and all these things, the
Yes,
decision needs to be made, right?
yes,
Okay,
exactly.
cool. Cool. So, what are the paperworks involved in this process? Like, no, because we know we have a support system already. For example, realtor is there, or the lawyer who monitors the business and other things. But I wanted to understand from the red tape wise, like how should I say, the paperwork which we need to submit to the government to to do this and something which could land us in trouble if we don't do. That's what I'm trying to basically that's what I'm trying to understand.
So sorry. So yeah, so the first thing is to get your business registered, right? That's step number one. So to register a corporation is much better than sole proprietorship if you're a sole business owner, right? And there are different aspects to it because as a sole proprietor, there are certain things you can't write off, whereas with a corporation, you can. So anyway, the first thing is you have to get a CPA or even a person, whoever can register a business. Then establish like who's going to be your shareholders. Are you going to be running this business yourself? How many people are involved? The other big piece is actually to look at if so in my case again, like I took a existing business, but say you're not taking an existing business, you're starting something of your own. Your next step is to start looking for spaces, right? And your business plan. So a business plan, that's one more thing I want to talk about. People make elaborate business plans, right? So it doesn't have to be like even just a succinct, like where you're going, what you're going, your mission, vision, value. So why, what, how.
What the things which we need to do so that we will not land ourselves into trouble? That's the question.
So that's a great question. So you first start with registration of your business because you
Hmm.
need to establish, right? Like where you stand as a business, whether it's corporation, sole proprietorship. Second is the permits, right? So, and the permits actually, I would say third, but second would be the licensing because
Okay.
there are a lot of licenses involved with whatever business you're taking, but it'll be different for each business. So you'll have to do a bit of background work before you're going to go and get those licenses, and then the permits, of course, and knowing the bylaws because you need to know like where you are located and which body governs you. So the best way to do that is actually to also, reach out to the Board of Trade. Every
Hmm.
region has a Board of Trade, and they really help me a lot. So we have the Clarendon Board of Trade. You can just reach out to them. It's a small fee membership, and they can guide you with those permits and licenses.
Wonderful. So basically, for you to start any business, to make sure that you don't land yourself into trouble when you start a business, is
Yes,
first one obviously to register your business. So
yes, 100%.
that's a no-brainer. And then we have to get the licenses to run
Yes,
the type of business which we want to run, and then
100%.
permits for you to operate on those licenses. And the best way to do that is reach out to the local trade board so that
Yes,
they'll guide you and take you through. So you have done this twice, I guess, right? Like, or yeah, or like, because for your friend as well as for yourself, and future
yes.
maybe for some other person.
Maybe for much more? No, maybe for myself, for many more.
Yeah.
I'd love to, yeah, maybe helping another person. But yes, these three things are very important to establish. And I think in any business, because even in my healthcare, we've gone through the same process, right? Like we have to make sure, and we know we live in a highly regulated society, which is amazing.
Yeah.
We should have these for the safety of everybody. And I love, like, I'm by the book. I'm an operations person, so every operations person is going to say that, right? Like you need
Yeah,
those
of course. Yeah.
rules. You need to have the base
Yes.
really secure.
That's nice. Okay, so I've got one tangential question out here. So actually two. So first one is, what is the difference between the owner operated and the other term what you mentioned,
The
the
sole
corporation?
proprietorship,
Yeah, yeah. So what is the
the sole
difference between that and
proprietorship and
yeah,
corporation, right?
correct, correct. What
So
is the
sole
difference?
proprietorship, if you're the only shareholder in the business, that's when you choose sole proprietorship. I know that the price also is lesser, like you don't pay a high fee to be a sole proprietorship, whereas in a corporation you do. But I highly recommend being in a corporation because you know that when you get into a business, everybody wants to grow, right?
Yeah,
That's where your mindset is. You're not only starting a business for one. So I suggest having that corporation so eventually you can add more people or shares or investors into the corporation without it affecting you in the long run, right? And there are a lot of other perks too being in a corporation. You can write off much more.
makes
So
sense. Makes
that's
sense.
the difference between the
Ma-
two. Yeah.
So basically, a person who is a sole proprietor would is a one-man army,
Yes.
but then they know what they're doing. Probably trades, right? The skills, the trade skills, like probably
Yeah.
someone
And
like
then small businesses. I've seen a lot
small
of
businesses.
home based too, right? Like individuals that are
Yeah.
working from
So
home. Yeah.
those,
It's more
but
than
then
enough.
yeah, got it. So, but then when you want to expand yourself, when you're ambitious, it's always better to go with corporation because that enables you to grow. That enables you to get more investors, make partners, and all that kind of stuff. That's what I
100%.
understood.
Yes.
Okay,
You're
cool.
absolutely right. Yeah.
Okay,
So
cool.
it saves you time, right? Because again, from sole proprietor, you have to again go back, do another paperwork, but you've already started from the right base. So I would say
Hmm.
corporation is much better.
Okay, one more question, Jaituni, is that the second one which I was about to ask you. So, what help do we get from the government or local, trade bodies and all that kind of stuff, wherein which someone, let's say, who is enthusiastic but doesn't have any resources in their hand? I mean, they have capital to put because that's how any business would need a capital, right? There are certain businesses which don't need a capital, but the businesses which need capital needs to have they need to have capital. So but then if I have capital, if I have the enthusiasm but I don't have resources, or should I say I don't have enough knowledge in the system, so how do you think one can navigate that kind of land?
So at the first thing again, I would say is to be involved with the board of trade. They're really helpful, regardless of you joining them or not. You can always have those conversations with them. And even once you join them, there are a lot of networking opportunities, right? So you're learning from different businesses. It's not only you. And again, skills are transferable. So don't always think out of the box. Don't think, oh, I'm in this sector, so I shouldn't be networking with so and so. But you don't know, possibilities are endless. I can give you my example. Like right now, we just collaborated with a health and fitness franchise, right? And
Oh,
you'd say you're
wonderful.
crazy, like because I'm doing candies and snacks. Who's
Yeah,
going
that's what I
to?
was I was
It's
about to ask.
totally
But
opposite from.
I'll get deeper once we reach to that part of my podcast. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So what is that? Take me back to the
Yeah, the board of trade, right?
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
so they you get a lot of networking opportunities, and they're very closely with the city. They're very involved closely with the city, the mayor, the economic development team. There's always one in every region. So they know exactly what's happening, where commercial buildings are coming, like which areas are going to be populated. And I would say you have to keep abreast of what's happening around you, right? Because everything's changing very quick. So yes, that's how the board of trade helps you with all your networking events, the know-hows of what's happening, what kind of population is around. They have all those statistics too.
Good. So basically, what we can do is seek help of the available resources which we have. If you have enough enthusiasm and capital in your hand, all that you
Yeah.
need to do is reach out to the people, talk to people in the board, and try to get their advice and make create your own network. And I'm sure. So what I've understood from you is they're always ready to help.
Yes, they
And
are. And the other piece also, you don't have to always go to a skilled person. I mean, no, you go to a skilled person, which is your board of trade. I'm sorry, but you can go to other business owners too who are doing the same thing. I
okay.
have done that. There's no shame in going and, kind of saying, oh yeah, this is how I feel. I don't think any business owner is going to shut you down and say, no, I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen, because we
Why,
all
why,
are.
why, why wouldn't they? So, because let's say, are you not their competition if you're in the same type of business? Why would they
Well,
help you out?
that's the thought I want to change in people.
Okay, go ahead.
Entrepreneurship, I really do. Like, I really feel that's so limited thinking. When you're an entrepreneur, you can't just be in a silo. It's all about networking. We're so used to
Hmm.
the 9 to 5 mindset that we are only speaking to people that we have expertise on.
Got it.
But you
Got it.
never know when you have that conversation with someone. And like, even for me, even if I'm sharing with you how to start my business,
Hmm.
everyone has a different way of doing things. And
True.
maybe that person will do better than me, but again, I feel like I'm going to only learn out of that experience, right? So we need to change. It's a big mindset shift when you're becoming an entrepreneur. You have to give to get. It's always
Wonderful.
a two-way street. It's
This
never
this
a one-way street.
That's amazing, right? Look, these days I'm seeing a lot of collaborations happening in the social media space as well. For example, you have Instagram where one influencer is doing collaboration with another influencer. So they are opening up potential audience spaces for of let's say they're gonna interact with both of the audiences. The influencer A is gonna interact to influencer B's audience and the same and vice versa. So potentially it is increasing the space of the audience, the sample space of the audience where you're gonna get from, right? That's
Yeah.
that's so cool. Yeah, do you mind shedding more light on this from the local businesses perspective, and how does this improvise the job sector within the smaller community where this business operate?
Yeah. So with the collaborations, I can speak for myself too. Like, just being in that social media space, forget about even collaborating, right? Being in the social media space, I've been able to hire a lot of local individuals, because what I'm doing is something fun, right? And the new generation wants to do fun. So by showing them, or through these collaborations, or even through social media, like what my day looks like, how fun it is, you are opening up a big world for people to kind of come in and work. Because you have to understand, in businesses like mine, I know they're not going to make a career out of this, right? It's skills that they're going to have or they're going to learn. So how do I, get more individuals to come and work for me? So this collaboration helps you that way too.
So
It's,
wonderful. It's not just that you're hiring the local population, but you're also enabling them to learn the skills for their future
right?
opportunities. That's so cool. Now that we have covered, the inspiration and the journey which you have taken to be where you are right now, take me through the candy confusion part of it, and because clear the confusion, or why
Yes, I
why did
will
you
clear.
why did you choose the name of Candy Confusion? That's an interesting name,
Again,
though.
it is an interesting name, and actually, there's a story to this. But before I go into the story, so Candy Confusion is part of my first business, which is Taunton Variety and Party. So the whole exotic candies and snacks and drinks started with my storefront, which is Taunton Variety and Party. And Candy Confusion kind of developed because of my beautiful customers that walk in through the door. So every time, so I have customers coming from different parts of the city. It's not only the 10-kilometer radius, because I have a niche business, right? So they kept telling me over the years that, hey, Jay, you need to like ship this, because we can't come every week, because they're coming from Pickering, they're coming. I have people come from Hamilton too, like as far as Hamilton. Okay. Which
Wow.
I'm so thankful for. So that's how the Candy Confusion, which is e-commerce of Taunton Variety and Party, kind of came out and we
Mm-hmm.
launched.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's a very new business, very different from bricks and mortar. That's like a whole different separate podcast that we'd have to have, because
Yeah.
it's not as simple as a click and you're there for everyone to see. And the name Candy Confusion came again from that feedback from my customers,
Mm-hmm.
which is such a big piece of our of being an entrepreneur too. We have to listen to what our customers are saying, and every time they walk in, they'll be like, "Oh my God, there's so many options. It's confusing." So that's all we took. We took that candy, and we're like, "Oh, Candy Confusion. There's so much
See,
that."
wow, that's a
That's
simple
how,
but yet very meaningful.
very simple and meaningful.
So you're
And
confusing your customers by giving them so many options to choose from.
yes, so that's how that whole so that's how Candy Confusion has come into fruition.
That's
Um,
nice.
and I want to actually touch on that too, that we need to hear what our customers and audience needs. Just because you're an entrepreneur, what happens is we just get blinded, right? Because we're doing the same thing over and over again, that we forget that there's so many other opportunities. So it's nice, right? Like, and the other piece of me staying in my store, so even though I'm a business owner, I am there from
Mm,
morning to evening, few days a week, living and breathing what I'm doing, right?
that's nice.
It's not just leaving it on somebody. It's your baby at the end of the day. So you have
Wonderful.
to live and breathe what you're doing. So
Wonderful.
that is how Candy Confusion came, and we're so excited. Like, it's a very new journey for our business, but we're just excited to see what that's going to bring in.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That's a simple yet very detailed explanation. That's nice. So just out of curiosity. So it's what you are running right now is a brick and mortar as well as online store, correct?
That's right. Yeah, because
Okay.
that's the future. We all have to accept that. I know a lot of people have reservations about, um, like the AI coming in and e-commerce. Like, oh, why do we need to ship? There's no in-person. And yes, I agree. As social beings, it's always lovely to speak to a person and have that whole piece of doing detail, right? But we have to move. We have to accept that change too. So I kind of feel like I have the both, and I'm open to growing. I think all our entrepreneurs should be. We can't be fixed and be like, okay, this is how I feel and that's how it is. We have to grow. We have to pivot. We have to tweak. And that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur, being on your toes all the time. right? It's not just doing something and just leaving it. And I've always loved that. Even in my 9 to 5, I've loved healthcare was because of that. And that's why I am an entrepreneur. I can proudly say that.
Amazing. So one final question for you, Jaitani. So are you okay to, if people reach out to you to seek help in establishing their own business, for example, their own, are you, should I be calling it as, are you gonna become a business establishing consultant? I don't know, how do I put this? So are you okay to do this in the future if
To
people want to reach
consult,
out to you? Yeah,
100%. I am
that's nice.
never shy of sharing all the good and the bad of the business. And I think again, like that's how you grow. You can't just be siloed and not help individuals. I feel it's for the greater good, right? Like if all of us are going up together. Sorry, I'm a very emotional, I'm a very by the heart person, and I've always wanted bigger things in life, but with people. So
That's nice.
I am always open. Like my doors are open. If anyone has any questions, I'm ready to sit down and walk them through it.
Beautiful. Amazing. On this note, Jaitani, thank you so much for your time today. And
Thank you. It was amazing. This is my first experience, but I loved it. Thank you, Shashank. You're a
oh, it's
lovely person. It's nice. You made me so comfortable. So thank you. Thank you for giving me
oh,
the opportunity.
you're a wonderful person too. Thanks to our common friends who have introduced you to me. And I would want to discuss more in future about various aspects. But it was fun talking to you, and I learned a lot of great deal of information which obviously I would have not got it so easily available because you've taken me through your experience, and I really appreciate your time today. Thanks a lot, Jaitani. Namaskar.
Namaskar.